Hi, it's Shireen Vishmaya, and I want to talk about the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo, which is definitely rocking our world right about now. And it's a fiery one. I mean, it's involving a grand fire trine between Saturn, Uranus, and of course the full moon in Leo. So it's grand fire. So we're really feeling the heat kicked up on this one. And one of the songs that keeps coming into my head is Total Eclipse of the Heart, the Bonnie Tyler, I can't remember her name, that 80s song, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Because it is like an eclipse of the heart going on, and we could feel like our hearts are under fire right now. A lot of childhood stuff is getting activated because Leo is connected to the child self, the child archetype. It's not only the lion, the lioness, and the regal fixed fire, it's literally the child self. If you think of the 19th Major Arcana Tarot card of the sun, the little child on the horse, that's Leo too. It's the sun archetype, so it's very much about that open heart and that opening oneself up to light and joy and the pure rays of the sun, which is a representation of the self. So imagine that part of us being eclipsed, and what would that mean, and how do we bring our awareness and our attention to the needs of the child self? That, I feel, is what's really up. I just finished a 40-day journey of Project 40 devoted to the archetype of the self, or the sun, and it was very powerful work that we did invoking this child self throughout the 40 days, because that's what was coming as we worked with the sun, was like getting in touch with that pure innocence of the heart that the sun connects us to, that vitality and that exuberance, that part of us that will leap out of bed in the morning because we have that pure joy of what it is we love, and how essential it is to stay connected to that, to have that level of self-possession, to take care of that child self and not suppress or neglect the voice of the child self. So this eclipse is amplifying ways that we may have done that, or we may have felt that our inner child self had been squashed or neglected, or mistreated, or lacking in some kind of deep, safe self-love. And to the level that we feel that, to the level that was eclipsed in our life, we're going to be, in some way, probably recreating that in our present life with, current relationships, or in our work, or, we'll feel the ways in which we've neglected that part of the self. So that's the gift of the eclipse. It really does illuminate or shine a light on some of the shadow issues. And since we're dealing with the dance of the polarity between Leo and Aquarius, what's up for us right now is also the relationship of the self in relationship to the collective. And how do we remain rooted in the authentic self while keeping a relationship with the collective energy, without getting lost in that, without getting pulled into the mania and the drama, but obviously also not shunning. We can't ignore or completely disconnect from the collective. But what is the relationship that we have to the collective, to a greater whole? This is what this polarity between Leo and Aquarius is really conjuring for us right now. So you can ask yourself in your own life what that relationship looks like, and what's out of, how is it working, and where is it out of balance right now? Because we also have Jupiter retrograde in Libra, which is definitely summoning up the question of what's out of balance, what's just, what is not flowing, what is incongruent, what needs to be adjusted in our life. Libra is the archetype of adjustment in the scales. So it's a balancing act, and eclipses are always in themselves a big polarity and a balancing act, because it's the opposition between the sun and moon. The full moon is doing this, and the eclipse is amplifying that, and amplifying the shadow material. So full moons, rather, is what I was trying to say, bring up the polarity between the sun and the moon energies. So right now the sun is in Aquarius, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo. So this total eclipse of the heart energy is really asking of us to pay attention to where we need to take better care. It's not just self-care that we all talk about. What is self-care, which we need, but self-care with a capital S. Like, how do we really tune into the needs of the self, and who we are, and asking that question, do I know who and what I am at this moment in time, in this crazy moment in time? Who am I in relationship to this? And how is my inner child doing? Am I neglecting the needs of that pure, innocent heart? Am I connected to my heart? Or in what ways am I eclipsing my own heart? So these are some of the questions and the work that's up for us right now. And I definitely recommend having creative outlets and having time to just sink down and make space to connect to your own heart center, especially in the midst of so much collective anxiety and what probably feels a lot like chaos right now. We have to strike the balance point. So, and there's a lot of changes, and it's a lot about coming into our deepest level of self-possession, self-love, defining that for ourselves, not the cliche version of those terms, but really doing the work to cultivate that relationship with the self and define it on your own terms. That's the real meaning of self-possession. So don't allow that to get eclipsed right now. Don't lose yourselves, right? Don't lose the self right now in this seeming state of rather mass hysteria that is around us on so many levels. We have to stay really grounded in who we are and keep doing the work. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I'll be back with another video on the Jupiter retrograde in more detail next. So stay tuned.